Well, thankfully, the plants did pull through. We've just had one of the coldest weeks in December that I can remember. Temperature dropping down as low as -6. We've had a bit of snow, bit of sleet, bad winds. So all in all, very, very cold. But we did as best. We've bubble wrapped, we've fleeced, we've took some plants indoors and set up that little indoor garden area, which we'll have a look at a little bit later. But in here, we moved everything from this back rack and we got everything put together so we could cover everything up all in one go. It just makes it that much easier next day to remove one sheet. And thankfully, all the plants seem to be alright. We'll take a quick look. So, first thing, that spinach planter that we set up, everything's doing alright in there. And these leaves have got a little bit bigger, even with that cold that we've been experiencing. And the beetroot's coming on as well. Got a couple of nice little bunches of that. Chinese cabbage did manage to survive that cold, but something's been having a right munch at it, which, as always, very annoying. But we've got about 4 of these indoors now, so we'll get something. Cauliflower never seemed to suffer at all with that cold, and no damage to this, which is good. The parsnips looked a little bit dodgy at one point. All these leaves were all dropping down and they were starting to discolour as well. They've bounced back to life now. We've got an extra few degrees on that temperature. So we're just waiting for some baby parsnips. Same as the parsnips, these spring onions all dropped down. And at one point I thought they weren't going to make it. Onions are probably the hardiest thing that you could ever grow, so they're perfectly okay now. Carrots didn't seem to bother these at all in this little trough. They've also put on a bit more growth over the last week or so. So we're going to have to start thinking about thinning these out as well, because they're a little bit too close together there. Spring onions perfectly fine, and so are the regular bulbing onions. We took most of broad beans indoors for 2 reasons, to be fair. First off, they seem to be getting munched quite a bit, and secondly, they did turn really dark, which is surprising. So we thought, just to safeguard them, we'll take some inside, because they're dwarf ones and they only grow to 16-inch tall, so we can easily accommodate those indoors. That's another cauliflower, once again looking really good. So is that red cabbage and the garlic, which we can now pop back outside. I think it's put on quite a good bit of growth, and they don't need to be kept warm, so we'll move that back outdoors this week. And then I've got another cauliflower there in a larger pot. As you saw, everything has pulled through and it's looking healthy once again. And hopefully we'll not be seeing those kind of temperatures anytime soon. So now we can actually leave the fleece off. We don't need to have that covering on anymore, because it's not going to be cold enough to if they can survive last week, they can definitely survive the next coming weeks. We've also got things going on inside, so we'll pop down and have a look how that indoor garden is getting on as well. And we'll check the greenhouses on the way down, because I've not been in them for the last couple of days. Well, it looks like we've had no problems whatsoever with these red cabbages. Very hardy plants. Still looking really healthy, which is brilliant. So if they can stand those temperatures without even being fleeced, then I don't think we have to worry about these. And those cauliflowers have bounced back a bit. Except that one. Something's really eaten that. But we have still got some good sized ones. And we've also got spring onions doing really well. But we need to get these weeds out, because eventually they'll just suffocate your plants. So we need to just carefully go round and get this whole thing weeded. And it won't take long. As you can see, a couple of minutes. Just be careful around plants. Because if you've got loads of foliage at the bottom of your plants, it's only going to attract slugs even more. And we've got enough problems with that at the moment. So we'll come back later and get that finished off. Red cabbages looking really well. That Savoy seems to have bounced back as well. Again, slug damage. Especially on this one, which was a really big Savoy. It's still trying to grow in centre, so maybe we'll get lucky. But as for the leaves around it, they're no good anymore. So we might as well take those off. Let's hope this plant bounces back. Doesn't look much now, but maybe it'll recover. So back indoors for a little update on this indoor garden we set up with those bigger shop lights that we're using. These pea shoots are on the way. Not as good a germination as I was hoping for, to be fair, but we've got a couple, so we can use some of them. We have got some germination from those pepper seeds as well now. You can just see there, there's a couple that's starting to come up. And we put a couple of seeds in each cell just to make sure we got something. And we definitely got something, haven't we? And as lettuce is on its way as well. So we need to move that a bit closer to light now to stop it leaning like it is doing. That carrot pot that we had in greenhouse looked really bad at one point. So we brought it in and it's perked right up. So we can probably take that back outdoors now. And we've got a couple of Savoy cabbages on go. We've got some Chinese cabbage in there. Nice and healthy. And then just in front we've got a container of spinach, which is now starting to put a bit of size on. Broad bean. Getting nice and tall, this one now. And we brought about 4 of those in. All looking really well now. That's a tray of Savoy cabbages that were growing on, ready for spring. And these went down because there were such small seedlings. So not really adapted to cope with such a drop in temperature. That's why we brought them in, just to safeguard them. We've got a little pot of spring onions there as well. And then next to it, we've got another cabbage. That's a Savoy as well. And the microgreens are looking alright now. These are doing really well, but they're very lightweight, these. So we're going to have to get these watered. And we're growing these on just a piece of paper towel. So considering there's no compost in any of these trays, I think they're doing right well. But we've exposed them to daylight now, so they're starting to green up. This one's working, but there's not a lot to see at the moment. And again, definitely needs some water. And we've got a few more pea shoots there. And a couple more Chinese cabbages. So all in all, everything's looking really well indoors. We've done away with that box that we had at the back because it had heat mats in it for seed germination. But because we've set these new lights up, we don't need heat mats anymore because these get nice and warm on top. So we can just sow as seeds, pop them on top of there, and that doubles as an heat mat. And we can obviously get quite a few trays on top of there if we want to. So that's going to help us come New Year to get lots of seeds germinating really quick at no extra cost. So this is working out really well for this little indoor garden experiment. Another little update so you can see how the plants are getting on in this part of the country. I know it's been a lot harsher in Scotland, but hopefully if you live in Scotland and you're growing plants still, they pull through as well. But the little indoor garden is coming on really well, and we've adapted that by removing that little box that we had there with heat mats in it, and that was for seed starting. We no longer need to do that because those lights that are sat on top, they generate a bit of warmth, which is pretty much the same as you'll get from an heat mat. So now we can just stand all those trays of seedlings on top to help them germinate and do away with a couple of heat mats. Not that they're taking a lot of electricity, but every little helps. So all's good in there, all's good in here. And now we're all getting ready for Christmas. It's only a few days away now, so we can all chill out and recharge a little bit. But don't forget, Boxing Day, we need to start sowing as onion seeds. Thanks for watching. Take care.